Maria loved her peaceful mornings. She would sip her coffee by the window, watching the sunlight fill her small, cozy house. But today felt different. Something wasn't right. On the kitchen table, she spotted an envelope. Its placement seemed strange, almost intentional. Adrian, her husband, had left for work earlier, skipping his usual forehead kiss. Maria frowned, picking up the envelope. Her name was written neatly on the front. Maria. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a short, heart-wrenching message. Maria, I'm sorry. I've found someone else. I need to move on. I hope you can too. The letter fell from her hands. Her world tilted. Tears filled her eyes as she sank into a chair. How could this be happening? For 10 years, Adrian had been her everything, her partner, her best friend. Now he was gone, leaving her for someone else, someone richer, she realized bitterly. Adrian had been distant for months, claiming late nights at work. Maria had trusted him, never imagining he could betray her. Now, the truth was like a knife to her heart. The house, once warm and full of love, felt cold and empty. Shaking, Maria grabbed her phone and called Sophie, her closest friend. Sophie arrived quickly, her red hair pulled back in a messy bun. She didn't say a word, just hugged Maria tightly. That was all Maria needed. She sobbed uncontrollably, letting her pain pour out. He left me, Maria whispered through her tears. For someone else. Sophie pulled back, anger flashing in her green eyes. What? That jerk. How could he do this to you? Maria shook her head, tears streaming down her face. I don't know. I feel so lost. Sophie squeezed her hands. You're not alone. We'll get through this together. But first, have you eaten anything today? Maria blinked. No, I couldn't. Then step 1 is pancakes, Sophie declared, marching to the kitchen. Comfort food helps everything. As Sophie cooked, Maria began to calm down. The smell of warm pancakes filled the kitchen, and for a moment, the pain in her chest eased. By the time Maria finished her plate, she felt a tiny spark of hope. Sophie's presence was like a lifeline, pulling her out of the darkness. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Sophie stayed to help Maria organize her thoughts and tackle small tasks. Together, they sorted through bills, made lists of what needed to be done, and even packed some of Adrian's things into boxes. Every step felt like a small piece of control returning to Maria's life. By evening, Maria was alone again. She sat in the living room, staring at the remnants of her old life. Adrian's favorite chair, the wedding photo on the mantel, the souvenirs from their honeymoon. Each one felt like a ghost, haunting her with memories of happier times. She picked up the wedding photo, tracing the frame with her fingers. "Why, Adrian?" she whispered, tears welling up again. Her phone buzzed, breaking her thoughts. It was Sophie checking in. "Hey, how are you holding up?" Sophie asked gently. "I don't know," Maria admitted. "It feels like this is all a bad dream. I keep hoping I'll wake up and everything will be normal again." "I know it hurts," Sophie said, "but you're not alone. We'll figure this out." "Have you thought about what you want to do next?" Maria hesitated. I don't even know where to start. Adrian was my whole world. Now he's just gone. "Maybe it's time to start building a new world," Sophie said. "One where you come first. You deserve that." Maria wiped a tear from her cheek. Could she really move on? The thought seemed impossible, but Sophie's words planted a small seed of hope. The next morning, Maria woke up with a new sense of determination. She didn't know what the future held, but she couldn't stay trapped in the past. Adrian had made his choice, and now it was time for her to make hers. She started small, tidying the house and putting away things that reminded her of Adrian. Every item she packed away felt like a weight lifted. By the time Sophie arrived with coffee and a notebook, Maria was ready to take the next step. "All right," Sophie said, flipping open the notebook. "What's something you've always wanted to do but never had time for?" Maria thought for a moment. "I used to love painting. I haven't done it in years." "Then that's where we'll start," Sophie said, grinning. "Let's get some art supplies." At the art store, Maria felt a flicker of excitement. It was small, but it was there. She picked out paints, brushes, and a canvas, feeling a spark of inspiration. For the first time in weeks, she allowed herself to dream. That evening, Maria sat at her dining table with the blank canvas in front of her. She dipped her brush into the paint, hesitating for a moment before making the first stroke. The colors began to flow, the canvas coming alive with each stroke. Hours passed, and Maria poured her emotions into her work. When she finally stepped back, she felt a surge of pride. The painting wasn't perfect, but it was hers. It reflected her pain, her hope, and her determination to move forward. As she cleaned her brushes, Maria glanced at the envelope still sitting on the counter. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew one thing. She wouldn't let Adrian's betrayal define her. This was her life, and she was ready to take it back.